we know direct contracting has been happening for years, but I think employers have been thinking, hey, it's only for really large companies. Like we hear about it, the cool stuff like Amazon's doing, Boeing, Walmart is all doing with healthcare. It's historically been really large companies that apparently have the relationships or ability to do this. But we see interest and the solutions available for even smaller, mid-sized groups. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's been something that's changed over time. And the reason is because the traditional view of healthcare was volume-based. And so that's how we ended up with 5 national insurance carriers in the United States. They were volume-based plays. Their contracts rested upon the laurels of driving business to these health institutions. And so you had to have enough volume to interest the institutions. And so I think what's changed, like many other industries across the world with technology, is it's much easier to transact business today than it has ever been historically. And so technology has played a significant role in making direct contracting and the cost to do so much less expensive and burdensome for the providers and for employers. And so it's opened up direct contracting to that middle market employer. And it's really just having the expertise and the ability to engage in those conversations. And to many of the things that Nick pointed out, it's not just volume today, it's revenue diversity, it's engagement with the community. And I think COVID-19 probably accelerated that quite a bit with the stressors that were put on local health systems and the importance of local relationships with healthcare providers. And so I think it's a trend you're going to continue to see accelerate over the next few years, especially with all the transparency legislation that's now coming into play in earnest under, that was a Trump era mandate that came down that's just now being implemented over the next few years.
I agree 100% with what Josh just described. And I think similarly, if you think about it from the employer perspective, number one, the trend lines for many years on their benefits expense have been moving in the wrong direction, right? The double-digit year-over-year increases that have been given to them by the traditional carriers. So you already had the trend lines moving. Then you look at the financial and business disruption created by the pandemic over the last 2 years. I think it's these small and medium-sized companies that bore the brunt of that. I mean, some of those names that you rattled off didn't quite experience the financial pressures of the last 2 years. In fact, thrived because of some of the conditions. So I think for these small to medium-sized employers, the environment is now right where they're saying enough is enough. We have to try something different to try to get at this problem in a different way, because the traditional model of debating every year, how much of the increase are we going to absorb versus how much are we going to pass on to the employee, is just not sustainable.